All right, guys. It's a little bit late. I got to the live a little bit late. I apologize. Um, but I was like contemplating, and I'm not by any means a scholar or learned, so to say. I'm very much a student in this affair when it comes to like the Islamic perspective on things. But I'm now thinking, like I'm really thinking that and it really dawned on me that if marriage is prohibited due to the conditions that we are in the West, and that perhaps marriage becomes lawful once you exit the West. And please hear me out why I have came to this conclusion. And again, I'm not saying that I am a scholar. I'm not saying that, but I'm just observing certain things. And I looked at different texts, which I'm going to read about, that kind of led me to my reasoning. Because there was a time and point in the Islamic society where basically Omar prohibited marriages between Muslim men and Christian uh women. Now granted, we know that that is allowed. We know that we know that that is permitted. However, he prohibited it. It he we're like basically he was prohibited to do that. You know what I mean? I'll try to find the information. Hold on just a minute, and I'll see why he prohibited it. Yeah. Um. Let me find out the reason why. Hold on just a minute. Okay. So what happened is that, let me see. I need to find it. Hold on. Just give me a minute. I have to look for it. I should have had it ready. All right. So it looks like there was a time where um so we're allowed as men to marry outside the faith, but the thing is we can it marry outside the faith on the condition that the woman is chaste, that she's a chaste woman. And so the thing is, we have to be honest with ourselves. Even from the Jewish perspective, and even from the Christian perspective, there aren't any chaste women in the West and who follow those faiths. They don't exist, and we just have to deal with that reality that they don't exist. And I hate to say it, but among the Muslim women, it's becoming less existent, which is why made this I want to say I made this live stream based on this. Um, so it turns out that Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that there was a time, um, there was a time that Umar said to those who married people of the book, divorce them. So they divorced them, except for Hudayfa. Umar said, divorce her. Hudayfa said, do you bear witness that she is haram? He said, she is a live coal. Divorce her. He said, do you bear witness that she is haram? He said, she is a live coal. He said, I know that she is a live coal, but she is permissible for me. A while later, he divorced her, and it was said to him, why did you not divorce her when Umar commanded you to? He said, I did not want the people to think that I had done something wrong by marrying her. Perhaps he was fond of her, or perhaps the child, they had a child together, so he was fond of her. Um, so it goes on to say that, like, there are times where marriage can be, you know, I hate to say it, but can be haram, you know. Uh, so this is what I'm saying. Just give me a minute. Let me see the reason why. Okay. All right, let me see. All right. Let me I hate to look at this as a source, but I'll look at it as a source real quick. So it just says during the time of Umar, he denied interfaith marriages. But what I'm getting at is I'm going to read something and I'm just going to compare it to the times we're living in right now. And then I'm going to show some video like furthering, my reasons why, why I came to my conclusion, you know. So I'm I adhere to uh the madhab as taught by Malik ibn Anas, rahmatullah alayh. You know what I mean? So the thing is that the marriage, so number one, the thing is the marriage is not really valid without a guardian. You know what I mean? So we already know that the guardian has to be like her father, um, a male relative, or just someone or just basically someone who is Muslim. You know what I mean? Um, and that guardian has to be Muslim, free, adult, sane, and male. But nowadays, like unfortunately, you have Muslim women thinking that they don't really need a guardian to be married because this is given to the fact that like many women, many non-Muslim women, or many Muslim women are marrying non-Muslim men, although those marriages are invalid. We know that to be the case. We know that the marriages are invalid, that they don't count. And it's happening more and more now. It's sad, but it's happening a lot, um so The thing is that the thing is you'll have a situation where Muslim women, will give themselves in marriage and say, okay, well, I can do what I want. I'm strong, independent. So therefore, my guardians don't have anything to do with me getting married. You know what I mean? Um, and unfortunately, this is happening more and more. Not only this is that she's giving birth, to children in what she thinks is a marriage. Um, you need a dowry. We already know that, but now when we get into the dowry, because of the demands that these like Muslim women ask for, I mean, I've heard dowries for, they want 70,000. Some have asked for 100,000. One even said that they want 150,000, for a dowry. And I would understand if that money was, based in their respective country, their home country, where their parents may be from, but they want that in US dollars, what I mean, most of the time. Um and of course you need two witnesses for the marriage. Um you need a witness for the to be present during the contract. Now, you know, when it comes to the dowry, the smallest acceptable amount is a dinar of pure gold or silver. Um, it is 3 dirhams of pure silver. Let me see if I can uh com- convert that money over. Hold on. I know it doesn't exist anymore, but hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. So basically, one dinar is basically um okay. So if we go by the Dubai standards, then 1 dinar is basically 347 US dollars, basically, if we're going by dinar. Now let me see. Okay, let me see. Give me a minute. I'm just doing something. Dang. I want to convert just regular gold to see what that means, how much that would be. Hold on. Let me see. All right. So if we look at 4.25, let me see. I want to see pure gold though. I need pure. All right, pure. Okay, that's pure. So if we go by the gold standard, right? 4.2.4.25 .25 grams of gold is $251 US dollars. So that is the minimum. Like technically speaking, if we go by the if we go by the UAE standard, that's $347. If we go by just the gold standard, that's $251. Now, women will ask for your salary um as a dowry, and you have to pay that up front. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I have not heard a Muslim woman ask for less than $70,000 for a dowry. Um, and I've also heard Muslim women say they're entitled to ask for that. They're entitled to ask for that dowry. There's actually Muslim women who encourage that dowry. Um, so the thing is, of course, the father, uh, you know, arranging the marriage of the daughter, but um, she can't force him to. She can't force her to marry. You know, uh, another thing that will not be accepted by the woman is like the father is allowed to maybe say, "Hey, that's too much of a dowry." Um, but you know, now the thing is, they really talk about the virginity factor, and I hate to say it, but not too many of those left. Um, and it says that if anyone other than the father is arranging the marriage of a virgin, such as a guardian appointed in the father's will or anybody else, he cannot give her in marriage unless she is beyond the age of puberty and has given her consent. In this case, her silence is taken as consent. It says in the Mudawana that an orphan is not given in marriage by her guardian until she comes of age and is given permission. Sheikh Ibn Najee Rahmatullahi alayhi said, unless there is a will from the father to marry her to a certain person, and then he acts in local parentis, there is a text in the Muqtasar which states that the guardian as the same position as the father in compulsions in marriage with two preconditions. One is that he, the husband, is specified, and the other is that the father commands that. The Sheikh Rahmatullahi alayhi states after the girl is not married unless her father commanded that she be married. What he mentioned about other relatives than the guardian, like the grandfather, the brother, is known in that school. Okay, so here's another thing. A woman who has already been married cannot be given in marriage by her father or anyone else unless she herself agrees and is given verbal consent. When she is adult, sane, and free, and has not lost her virginity through injury or fornication, be she be she sensible or foolish by her father or anyone else, it is limited to the adult instead of the child who loses her virginity before becoming an adult. Her marriage is not dependent on her consent. Sane excludes the mad women. Her father can compel her, even if she has children. The judge can also compel the adult mad woman if she has no father. What is mentioned about asking her permission is by word as Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam Shafi rahmatullahi alayhi, and Sahih Muslim transmitted the widow is more entitled to herself than her guardian, and the virgin is asked for consent for herself, and her consent is her silence. What is meant by the widow is the non-virgin. The difference between the two is shyness, which is found more fully in the virgin rather than the non-virgin. It is reported that Sheikh Ibn al-Qasr rahmatullah alayh said that modesty has 10 parts, 9 in women and 1 in men. When a woman marries, a third of it goes. When she gives first birth, 2/3 is gone. If she fornicates, it is all gone. So, like, when you look at the situation right now, and you look at the fact that, like, there are so many Muslim divorcees who feel like, okay, well, I got divorced. I'm entitled to certain things. I'm entitled to, you know, th- a certain demographic of man. You know what I mean? And that man may, like, it may be detrimental to his faith in dealing with it may be detrimental to his faith in dealing with her. It may be a bad thing that she that he is dealing with her. You know what I mean? It may affect his faith. Now let me go ahead and play something that goes to my point. Let me just go ahead and play it real quick. Let me see. Okay, here we go. No, I'm not gonna settle because I'm approaching my 40s and I've been married before and I have a kid. I want what I want and I want it when I want it. And if you don't got it, then stay out of my way. Okay, now because you got problems and you got insecurities, don't mean you need to bring them over here. Okay, usually these days women are strong and independent, got their stuff together, and then they got these men out here that don't got nothing going for them, thinking that these said women, need to settle for them because they're approaching a certain age. No, sir. For most of us out here that are independent and can take care of our damn self, just want a man because we want a partner, we want a friend, we want somebody to grow with, we want somebody to travel with, we want somebody to enjoy life with. We ain't trying to find somebody to babysit. So when you look at her and stuff like that, she should settle, but she's not settling. She says she's approaching her 40s and that, she's not settling. And yeah, she has the choice of who she wants to marry or whatever the case may be. But it's like, okay, if you're that guy that you gets married to her, then what, what I mean, what are the in what could be the implications on your faith, if you decide to marry her? You know. Um, let me see what else I want to see. Let me see. Okay, so here's another thing that's happening in the West because of the advent of hypergamy. What else is happening in the West is that, technically no one should propose marriage to a woman if another proposal has already been accepted, nor should anybody try to outbid his brother if an agreement has been reached. But the problem is, like, now, hypergamy is at an all-time high, that it's almost impossible to avoid this kind of factor. You know what I mean? Because women are always looking for the next best thing. We already know this. I mean, when you look at, you know, the fact that women, there are women who have left marriages because they found the guy who made more money, and they just decided, hey, well, this guy is not doing it for me, so I'm just gonna leave. And so, this kind of comes in conflict because you know, say you're intended to marry a woman, right? But then someone else comes along and says, "Hey, I have this," then it becomes all bad. You know what I mean? Um, so there's also forbidden types of marriage, you know. Um, so most of this has to do with basically the dowry, you know what I mean? And basically you shouldn't like do anything without a dowry. Um Also, what else is kind of like, and I hate to say this, you know, and I'm not trying to encourage this at any I'm not trying to encourage this by any means. I'm definitely not trying to encourage this by any means. But you know, temporary marriages are prohibited, but when you look at how things are going, you know, you have to ask yourself, you know, what is the solution? You know, now another thing, for example, that's prohibited, that, and I hate to say it, but the majority of marriages here are uncertain. And so that's another thing that's prohibited is uncertain marriages, you know. Um Say if something like is exchanged in the dowry, that's uncertain, you know what I mean? Like you're not sure of where the funds come from when it comes to the dowry, you know. Another thing is the defect in the marriage, you know what I mean? uh a defect in the dowry, you know what I mean? So that's another thing. Let me see. I want to see some other stuff. So you can't marry through relatives. We understand that, you know. Can't do that. Now, here's the thing. Um Let me see. So the thing is, too, is technically the way it is like right now, even if you wanted to marry a non-Muslim woman, right? Even if you wanted to do that, I don't think you could marry a non-Muslim woman here, for the simple fact that the majority of women are not chaste. And also, like, they may call themselves Christian, and as I said before, they may call themselves Jews, but they're not following any of that. In fact, they're more in line with atheism than their own belief system. You know what I mean? So that's another factor. You know, that this is these are some of the these are the other factors that we're dealing with. Now the thing is, so there are, unfortunately, I mean, I won't say unfortunate, but there are some people who just say, okay, I follow the Quran only. You do have a contingent of these people. Um, So, with that being said, you know, while I don't agree with them, they feel that, you should only practice polygamy if the woman's an orphan. Whereas it says here that you can marry four, up to four. You know what I mean? Um, that's it. Yeah, you can marry up to four women, and that's not even doable here, really. Of course, you have to treat your wives equally. Um, Let me see. All right, let me see if there's anything else. Okay. All right. So that's about it. So looking at these factors, when we look at these factors, we have to ask ourselves, like, really, is marriage something that is permissible here in the West, considering like what is going on right now? You know what I mean? Because it seems like everything is against like the traditional, the traditional aspect of marriage. You know what I mean? It seems like everything is going against that, you know. Now let me see. Okay, let me see. I want to see one more thing. All right, let me see. Just want to look at one more thing. All right. All right. So, I want to look at something here. Okay. I want to look at a couple of things that I found. And I'm not trying to Foxwoods shop or anything like that. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm just trying to like really pin this point home. You know what I mean? Um, so it says that, marriage is obligatory on anyone who is single and committing sins such as looking or kissing. Um, if a man or woman knows or thinks it's most likely that if he does not get married, he will commit zina or whatever comes under the same rulings or is similar to it, such as, uh, it says masturbation, the marriage is obligatory. it is still obligatory even if a person knows that he will commit sin after marriage, because once he is married, he will be less likely to commit sin because he is distracted from it at least part of the time. Whereas if he remains single, he will commit sin all the time. Anyone who looks at the state of things in our times knows how there is so much immorality and so much temptation will be convinced that the obligation to marry is even more important now than any time in the past. And we ask Allah to purify our hearts, keep us away from the haram things, and keep us to be chaste. But the problem is with that is that the women are making it hard to be married since they have bought into ideologies that don't encourage marriage. So the, you know when we look at marriages, let me see. Let me see. There are different opinions. Some people say delaying marriage is haram. Um, some people just say different things, but I want to get another perspective. You know, although I follow, you know, um, although I follow the school of Imam Malik, Rahmatullah alayh, um, I'm still open to looking at any accepted opinion from a different school, you know. So I look at this and it says marriage is for obligation if a person is so tempted by sexual desire that he or she feels falling into sin or fornication, since staying away from fornication is obligatory, since marriage is the only avenue for legitimate sexual satisfaction. It becomes obligatory on such a person to get married. This is based on the principle in jurisprudence that says if an obligatory thing cannot be fulfilled except by fulfilling another, then fulfilling the latter becomes equally obligatory. However, if he or she is not tormented, so tormented by sexual desire, and hence there is no fear of falling into sin, then it is highly recommended to get married if one has the means to do so. By doing so, one is fulfilling one of the great sunnahs of the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, uh, our perfect role model. If a person knows for certain that he or she cannot fulfill the duties, and notice how it says he or she, you know, it says he or she cannot fulfill the duties required in marriage, then there is no fear of his or her, and there is no fear of his or her falling into sin, then it becomes haram for such a person to get married. Islam forbids us from doing injustice to another person. This would definitely be the case if one were to neglect his or her spousal duties. So, this is my point. When you look at modern women today, and this includes Muslim Western women, they they have since said and been on record saying that they're not going to give you them draws. You know, there's many men I know who are Muslim men who are in marriages where their wives will just straight out say they'll try to initiate the situation, and the wives will straight out just give them a look like, nah, it's not happening, or just other factors. So this is what brought me to my point, is marriage haram, because for the most part, from what I understand, a man who fears God, he's going to fulfill his obligations as a husband. But since Muslim women have bought into the non-Muslim woman lie, thinking that all they have to do is show up, thinking that like a guy is has to be a certain like just an apex man, and all they have to do is just pretty much be there. You have to ask yourself, is marriage haram? Because nine times out of 10, it's going to end in divorce. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's not that many marriages happening in the Islamic community where I am. And I know that this stream, I usually make this stream for everybody, but I just decided to like really tap into the Muslim thing for the simple fact that this is actually happening, you know. Um so you have to ask yourself, is marriage really like permissible in these times for us if we're living in the West? Since a woman already I listen, I although cooking and cleaning is not obligatory for a woman, she does get reward for doing that. A Muslim woman. I have heard, I have seen myself, and I don't know why this Senegalese guy was so trying to marry her. I'm like, bro, like, why in the hell are you trying to marry this woman so badly, bro? Sh- This woman said, I don't have to cook, I don't have to clean, I will not cook and I will not clean. She said those things. And this dude was still trying to marry her for some reason. I'm like, bruh, please cut it out. Leave her alone. But I think he snapped out of it and he dodged the bullet and never married her. You know. Um Now on the thing is now there's another thing. If a person has no means to marry and is therefore incapable of fulfilling his spousal desires, but has a strong desire, it is permitted for him to get married, provided he tries earnestly to seek an honest source of living. Allah has promised to help such a person. We must also add here a further note that the Muslim community has a duty to assist such people until such time they become self-reliant. Forget that. That's not happening. Let's be honest. That is not happening with the Muslim community. You know, let's just be honest. Like that's not happening. You're on your own, pretty much. For the most part, you're on your own. And unfortunately, some of us had to learn the hard way. But you're pretty much on your own when it comes to that. Now, if however however no such means are available, and a person finds himself unable to fulfill his spousal duties, he is advised to curb his desires through discipline of fasting and other acts of sublimation. Sublimation. So, the thing is, and this is actually a problem, is that there are many, I hate to say it, but I know many Muslim women who had babies out of wedlock with non Muslim men. So you have to ask yourself, like, now, are we going, are you obligated to marry them? you know, Considering that they have that, right? So I'm just gonna share my screen and we're just gonna get into why me personally, why I think that marriage is haram right now. Because I'm gonna be honest, no Muslim woman wants to fulfill her duties. She just wants to argue with you now. And you see that loud and clear on damn Clubhouse and every other app there is. They want to do is argue. But let's see. Entire screen. All right. Okay, share the screen. All right, let's see. Shout out Samati Chijani. So the thing is that when you look at it, right? When you look at how the situation plays out, right? If she's a doctor, and let's say maybe you are working in education. Let's say that you're a professor. She will be expecting she will expect living standards than higher than you may have, because of her being a doctor. So, you know, that's the thing. She 9 times out of 10, you may even have a good career, but she's not going to marry down. And the reason why she's not going to marry down is because most of the women have debt anyway from school and things like that from all those years of school. So with that being said, you know what I mean, this is where you have to ask yourself, okay, is the marriage really is marriage really like feasible in the West? But let's continue. Okay, well, you're not supposed to date anyway. Like we're not supposed to date. Men ain't supposed to be dating anyway. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see if she talks anymore. Okay, let me see. So, like when you look at this, when you look at these kind of options available, you have to ask yourself, okay, now is marriage really something that you should be pursuing in the West? Like when you look at these options, and I'm gonna be honest with you, her septum ring is not cultural. Her septum ring is probably from these fem Nazis. You know what I mean? You you can't hear the video. You can't hear the call it you can't hear the video that's playing is what you're saying. Hold on, let me see something then. Oh, okay, let me see. Let me see something then. Hold on, let me see something. Give me a second. All right, hold on. All right. Hold on just a minute. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. I may need to restart it. Hold on. Let me see. Let me try something again. I want to share it again. Hold on. All right. Let me know if you can hear it. I'm about to play it. Let me know if you can hear it. And try it again.
Hey.
In this, there's not much difference.
Can you hear it? Can you hear the volume? Let me know. If you can hear it in the comment section, let me know if you can hear it.
Realized over the years that I don't really know if I actually am interested in marriage, at least not in the way that I've seen it in my life so far. When people
The first thing I would say to someone who's saying they are not sure if they're
So let's talk about why I don't think I'm looking to get married or wishing to get married. I'm a 29-year-old Muslim woman that is Arab, and I'm also a doctor. I work full time. I've gone to school for a large chunk of my life. So maybe I haven't had as much experience with dating or relationships,
Let me know if you can hear it.
but I definitely have realized over the years that I don't really know if I actually am interested in marriage, at least not in the way that I've seen it in my life so far. When people
in size. It's very fascinating, actually. Clitoris, you need to stimulate her clit. Women, you yourself, if you observe and you like, during sex or even after sex, look at your clit, you'll realize how it grows inside.
So you said the volume is low. Let me see.
It's very fascinating, actually, how it grows in size and it becomes hard, like a man's penis. That's
So what I'm saying is when you have women who are talking like this and talking in the open like this, you have to ask yourself, like, okay, well, like, is this woman really gonna be like conducive to what I need? And the fact of the matter is that it's like, okay, well, um, what what you know what I mean? Like, what more what more proof do you need that maybe, we should stay away from Muslim women in the West, you know?
how you know that you've actually been stimulated the right way.
But this is what I'm talking about.
So let me see. She has another video.
Adequate and you're useless. If you don't meet her sexual needs, she will look at you like you're inadequate and you're useless. To realize that a woman
Or your nose. But there's nothing to like about this, quite frankly.
men also need to realize that a woman is not going to respect you if you don't meet her needs, especially her sexual needs. If you don't meet her sexual needs, she will look at you like you're inadequate and you're useless.
So, like, you can tell when you look at that woman, like, you can tell like her hatred of men. You know what I mean? So, like, this is not to assume anything, but she's probably been, you know what I mean, like, she's probably speaking from experience, her own personal experience, and now she's reflecting that experience upon everybody, upon all the men. So you have to ask yourself, okay, well, if I marry her, am I really, what good is going to come of that? You know what I mean? Because of what she's talking about. Well, let's continue.
And she won't respect you. She will subtly disrespect you, and it will be on an unconscious bias that she's doing this. Consciously, she won't go out her way to disrespect you. It's the resentment that she's built over time from you constantly rejecting her, where she now struggles to even speak to you in a normal manner. Everything she says and everything she does is in a very disrespectful manner. You might ask her to pass you something, she might throw it at you instead of just passing it to you like a regular.
You can tell even with her, like, she's masculine. You can, like, just tell, like, she's super masculine. She oozes of this masculinity. And it's like, okay, well, do you really want to come home to that? Whereas, like, you may do something that's haram. You may do something that's haram because she's like bringing out these things in you. You know what I mean?
Person. She's not doing that on a conscious level. Subconsciously, her resentment and hatred for the fact that you're not meeting her needs and you're the only person she can get her needs from is suppressing her, is rejecting her, is oppressing her, because this is a form of oppression.
But she doesn't speak about the fact that women are doing oppression all the time when they're depriving their men of them draws. Like, come on now, bro. Like, this, like, let's be real here.
A husband refusing to have sex with you without any valid reason, constantly, over and over again.
I don't know any man who's going to do that unless there's a valid reason. But I know not one man who is going to be like that from a biological standpoint. If we look at it from a biological standpoint, no man is really going to be doing that. That's the thing.
Again, is a form of repression.
You're seeing awkward looks on my face, awkward expressions on my face, because this is awkward to hear this type of chat from a hijabi online on TikTok. These are
Now I
Thomas
know,
is dead.
because my willy drives get crazy. They always come back.
You know, set into your frame.
All right, let's see. Okay, let's see.
Still I'm guilty of loving you. Quick on يا رسول الله بأمي وأبي فديتك سيدي صلاة وسلام عليك يا نبي حبيبي.
My guy, you're the type of brother, yeah? If your woman sends you a text message and says to you, Habibi, I feel like jumping on another bogo stick. Your bogo stick not enough for me. You're the type of brother who'll be like, I understand. Your feelings are valid, Habibti. It's okay, I don't mind.
Get your face ready, get your cheeks ready. I'm going to slap you again today.
I'm reminded of an ayah in the Quran where Allah says,
So, you know, this video said she let her husband lets her take off her hijab. So like she's basically just flaunting these kind of things. And the thing is, I guarantee you, if he laid down the law and said, yo, like, what the hell do you think you're doing? Then he would be looked at as a bad guy. He would be looked at as the oppressor. But the fact that she's like lightweight emasculating him, and I hate to say it, but most women go out their way to try to emasculate you. Like they really try to go out their way to do that. And it's sad because the only way you can do something in return is remove yourself from the situation. Because you want to do something in return, like meaning you want to say certain things, but you can't say them because it would be like a lawsuit when it comes to like these like women, you know what I mean? But there's many other videos that show that like, yo, maybe we should not get married here. Like I wasn't going to get married here in the first place. You know, I wasn't even going to get I wasn't going to get married in the first place, you know, in the West, but there's just many other videos showing that, yo, it's just not a good deal. You know, hold on, let me see. Let me see what else he has. Okay, let's see. Oh, let's look at this.
Hi, I'm Marcus Trufant, former Seattle Seahawk. You probably don't think about it much, but thousands get
4 or less than 20 brothers who have expressed interest in marrying you.
So I'm disagreeing you know, if we kind of tell people to compromise. So if we tell people not to compromise in one thing, like the age thing, then you're going to have a compromise in something else, which will often be the deen and the character and the kind of like, you know, the chemistry or the and loads of other things. I do agree, and even the scholars say that, of course, if a woman is like,
so which part are you disagreeing on exactly?
sorry. So I'm disagreeing.
First of all, how old are you, Sister Aya?
I'm 23.
You're 23, and I'm assuming you're not married.
No, I'm not married, and I promise I'm coming at this purely from an Islamic standpoint, not from an emotional argument.
What's your ethnic background, roughly? Which part of the world are you from?
I'm Arab.
Okay, North African or Middle Eastern?
North African.
Okay, fine. Go on, carry on.
So, sorry. So I mean, I was pasting in the chat the fatwa from Sheikh Ibn Baz from the Dawah Islamiyya, where he says age should not be a problem. What does matter is that the man should look for a righteous woman who is religiously committed, even if she's older than him, if she is still young enough to bear children. So I do really agree with what you're saying about how, you know, women can become like have geriatric pregnancies at age 35. our eggs are going down, especially this day and age. It happens much earlier, but up to that cutoff, kind of, let's say between the ages of 18, for legal purposes, 18 up to like that time, there's no really Islamic mandate to kind of really emphasize it's got to be 18, 19 and not like 25 or 26.
I got you. All right, I'm going to ask you. First of all, let me just shout out this brother here. JD Trace, I appreciate you for the $5 super chat, my man. I laugh when brothers and sisters say the red pill is haram. I'm a black American raised as Christian, and the red pill led me to Islam. Shots fired, bruv. Shots fired. Shout out to you, Akhi. But if you are able to get children from her, then you must
present two sides. So it was like, is it better to compromise in the number of children, not too much, but say you might not have 11, but you would have five with the sister.
Most people are not nuts like me. I'm the only nutter who wants 20 kids. Yeah, okay. Less than 0.1% of those who watch me want 20 kids like Maddie. Yeah. If this is the choice, then I would agree. Yes, go with the older sister who's more righteous. If those are the only two women you have to choose from, then fine, choose the one who is more righteous. I'm with you. But generally speaking, this is not the case. This is.
I definitely don't think it's a binary, but
there you go. A binary. That's what I was looking for.
It's not a binary, and I do think there's an allowance for preferences, and if men really feel like in order to enjoy their marriage, she needs to be much younger, that's completely fine and should not be demonized. However, for kind of men who are not like I refuse to use the term high value, but men who how do I put this, who are kind of like you said, the Abdullah, whoever,
average Abdullah.
I feel he hasn't used the term, but yeah, exactly. They are probably better, like it's wiser to kind of go with the approach of looking for deen, character, obedience, gentleness, easygoingness, all of this, and then kind of keep your bracket of age a bit wider. I'm not saying 30s or like old 30s, but I'm saying like 18 to.
I'll be perfectly honest with you, Sister Aya, and this is my experience in dealing with the brothers. Yeah, in my experience in dealing with the brothers, is that honestly, average Abdullah, he's happy to take whatever's on offer, man. He's really not that fussy. Like this is like this business of late teens, early 20s. Honestly, average Abdullah just wants to get married at this point. Average Abdullah is not even picky like that. He just wants to get married, and still he's getting turned down. Still he's getting turned away. I'm talking about average Abdullah right now.
So this goes to show you. Okay, that average Abdullah, he's probably looking at divorcees and probably getting turned away. Average Abdullah is probably looking at women with kids and probably getting turned away. Now, I don't know for a fact like what's happening, but this just goes to show you, really how bad it is. You know what I mean? How much these women have bought into this whole programming. I mean, I would like to, at this point, what can you call it? You know what I mean? But I want to hear about 20 guys getting rejected. That's what I'm waiting for.
Now, because the sisters en masse in general, as I mentioned earlier, they're more educated. And as a result of that, they are now still expecting someone who is more educated still, or doing better still, at least in their business or whatever, than themselves. And obviously that's a ever diminishing pool. The higher up the totem pole you go, the less options you have. It's just the way it goes. So I'll be honest with you. This whole business of younger sister, blah blah blah. Average Abdullah doesn't care at this point. My guy just wants to get married to a woman who's going to be nice to him and maybe give him a couple of children, and he's happy. He's happy, but he can't even find that. Even that, he's struggling.
Oh, that's surprising, but like there's many people who are kind of watching this sort of content from yourselves and a few others who are now, like, lots of people who are starting to do a thing where they restrict so strictly, like she's got to be 18 to 20, that's it, and then all these other things. And I just feel genuinely just care and sadness for the rest of my my fellow brothers and sisters. And I feel like, how many brothers have asked for your hand in marriage? You specifically, Aya. I don't want to I feel really sorry. I don't
is it more or less than 10?
I'm sorry.
It's more than
Sorry,
10. It's more than 10. Is it more or less than 15?
The system that I'll be wearing is a product called Quantum from LordHair.com. The majority of the
it's alhamdulillah. It's not been. I'm not coming at this from like. I've been fine, but like I'm just
It's
coming
more
at
than
this from a
15.
Islamic
Is it more or less than 20 brothers who have expressed interest in marrying you?
I honestly I couldn't say, because a lot of them went to my dad, and my dad like didn't tell me about all of them.
All right, so it's more than 20 brothers have expressed interest in you. How many more we don't know, but it's more than 20. But as it stands, Sister Aya is still not married, which means that these brothers didn't quite measure up for what reason? What's the reason?
So there's I'm not raised awareness of this issue. Alhamdulillah, I love my parents, but unfortunately, they want me to become kind of like a career woman and finish my. So they sort of banned me. I'm kind of seeking advice about it. Alhamdulillah.
They've banned you from getting married.
Yeah, because they think I should fulfill the fard of kifaya of being a female doctor and being a doctor.
This is a confusion of the highest.
So another factor too, that goes into play, that maybe why marriage may not be permissible for you, is because of the parents buying into the ideologies too. Like, it's not only the kids that buy into the ideology, it's also the parents who push, like, hey, be strong, independent, boss babe woman. Muslim parents are pushing this. They're seeing the damage it's doing, but yet they're still along with the program. They're still going along with the program, basically.
Order. What is going on?
There's loads of us, like literally so many Muslims in my university. Muslim sisters have the same issue.
You should find who said fard kifaya, by the way. Who said this?
Scholars, to be fair. We do need, and it's funny because
I know we need them, and we seem to have them in abundance, mashallah.
I know, and then feminists will use the argument of like, oh, we need the women need to go to uni because they need to be doctors, and I'm like, but the problem is this argument is now being used to kind of like really harm a lot.
Get married quickly, because by the time you hit 25, it's a wrap. Everyone knows this in the Muslim community. By the time you hit 25, it's a different story. It's not 30. It's not 30. In the Muslim community, there's something with the number 25. It's a wrap. So you are expiring, yani. Yellow sticker, reduced sticker, Tesco, cost of living crisis, take this.
So, and again, like, it's crazy, because I was talking to my Egyptian friend, and I said, yeah, there's this Malian woman, she's 18, and my friend said, you can marry her, you know what I mean? And what happened was, my friend said, that's a good one. And he's a professor. He even said, that's a good one. And I'm like, yeah, most definitely. Because even he understands about it. You know what I mean? Now, another reason why it may become a reason why it may become not permissible to be married is this too, because unfortunately the men are doing these things to these women too, the men of leadership, in which we are about to see.
I only like to do it for the winners. Always moving forward.
Hi guys, let's ask a scholar, which is this guy. Say hi, baby.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so from an Islamic perspective, you're allowed to get second, third, and fourth wife.
Say hi, baby. Is it just me, or
or do you want to?
No.
Why not?
Because you're enough for me, and I'm happy.
Aww.
Yeah, never do that. You can see that she's masculine and stuff like that. And if he would have even said, "Yeah, I want 2 or 3, 4 wives," then it would have been a wrap for him. You know, he wouldn't have heard the end of it, basically. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is when I say, okay, really, is marriage is marriage really halal at this point in this country? For the simple fact that, you know, you have these women wanting to imitate non-Muslims so badly in social media and things like that, that it's just ridiculous. I have not done any dance trend on social media at all. I have not been part of any trend on social media. I have never done any single trend on social media. Hell, I don't even really show my face on social media. The only things I show on social media is like news, things like that, boxing, you know me boxing, maybe new books I get, but I'm not doing any of these like goofy little trends or trying to make people laugh by degrading myself.
I'm sure the brother is a certified gangster. He did like a puppy. First of all, I need you to understand something. Are you telling me the mothers of the believers, our mothers,
All right, here
the
we
wives,
go.
yell out something, so it shall be perceived. Listen to me carefully. من صغر شيئا فيا. Please, like a man, like she's. But what to do if your husband got a second, third, or fourth wife? Hey, wife, if I got another wife, what would you do? Leave. Like a man, like she says it straight. I'd leave him, bruv. I'd dust that guy to the side of the road. He's done out here. And he's like, oh, of course I wouldn't marry a girl I have empty. Shut up, bruv.
Not every Muslim woman is going to be comfortable with her husband having more than one wife.
And so when you have people like this, especially these converts who want to, oh my God. And it seems like they think they're the authority on this. That's the thing. When these, I hate to say it, but when Brad comes into the fold of Islam, he tries to take shit over, unfortunately, and bring his own insecurities into the religion. It's the same thing with Keisha. When she comes into Islam, she brings her own damn insecurities into the religion as well. And so let's hear what this guy has to say.
And this is completely fine.
Who cares, bruv? Seriously, who cares? Asmani, listen to me carefully. من صغر شيئا فيصغر ومن كبر شيئا فيكبر. I mess up the grammar on that all the time. I don't even know if I said it right. All I know is what it means, which is whoever makes small out of a matter, so it shall be. And whoever makes a big deal out of something, so it shall be perceived so. Your reaction and energy that you give to a situation will infect the other person accordingly. If you make a big deal out of it, your wife will make a big deal out of it.
Explain this to her that he wants a Muslim woman and a Muslim man.
Do you mind? Get married again. What do you expect her to say?
Because when a Muslim woman and a Muslim man get together when they're engaged and they want to talk about these specific things, he can explain this to her that he wants more than one wife, and she can explain to him, that's not what I want. And if they both disagree and they can't change their minds on it, then they walk away and find somebody who they can agree with. And in some madhab, there are scholars.
That's a fair statement. I see no issue with that. That's fair. In fact, I agree with that as well. You shouldn't try to
have more than one wife. She can divorce him and he can have that wife, but she will leave if she is following the scholar opinions of that specific madhab.
Yes, this is a scholarly opinion as well. And to the brothers, I say this: never barricade yourself into a corner with disagreement. You might feel she's my life, Noor Hayati. Man's ready to create mashakil. You should. You've got a couple of kids. Be a smart decision, and then you live a life.
If you think you deserve more than one wife, you aren't even consistent with the deen. How can you be consistent with 4 women? Sometimes.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, how are you going to say someone's not consistent with the deen when, like, you really don't know what that person was doing in the deen. Like what? You're a sheikh. You know what he was doing, basically. This is ridiculous.
I see comments online.
So I've heard the backstory on this brother. I remember this brother from a few years back. He used to, a couple of years back, I'm not too sure how long ago now, during lockdown, he reacted to a few of my videos. And anyway, somebody from my team, my social media team, gave me the backstory on this brother. And that during lockdown, he was creating videos defending Muslims as a non-Muslim himself. Then he embraced Islam. Then he raised some money for his father for something or other. His dad was sick or something like this. Then he left Islam, murtad. He left the religion.
So there you have it. Sometimes these people be ops, most of the time. It's sad, but this is just the time we live in, unfortunately.
Then he embraced Islam again. And now he's out here creating Islamic content on TikTok. Big man, listen, yeah. Already there's going to be question marks surrounding your persona. If you entered the religion and then you left and then you entered again, already you're moving bookie, bruv. You're moving a bit mad. So I would say to the brother, absorb, listen.
Brad doesn't do that. Brad unfortunately has the colonial mentality and won't sit down and listen. Now let me see. Let's see this.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars, wasting tons of time on troubleshooting with attendees?
Unfortunately, my community was not very forgiving of the fact that I wore hijab at that time and that I was tall for my height. A lot of men were very particular. They didn't like the fact that I did law. There was a lot of unrealistic expectations. In the end, I also compromised and married my husband. I took a divorce because he wasn't fulfilling his responsibilities of our nikah, and we do have a child together. Now,
hold on. We're glossing over a few details here. So you said you compromised, which sounds to me like he wasn't your first choice.
No, he wasn't my first choice, and to be honest.
So there you have it. See, that's when it becomes a risk for you as a man. You may not even be her first choice, although you have all the boxes checked. There's therein lies another issue. What if you have all the boxes checked in terms of your deen, your finances, but still you're not her first choice because she feels she can do better?
Looking back at it now, it was a foolish thing to be stringent on, but because I'm 5'7", I wanted someone that was taller than me. Honestly, education and height was like one of my few preferences. That's it. And
So you see how those talking points exist with all, like not just with non-Muslim women, but Muslim women as well. It begs the question, like, okay, like how tall can you how tall, like what is an acceptable height that's realistic? I know that this makes the question, it makes you wonder, okay, what more do I need to do in order for me to actually fulfill the unrealistic expectations that she has, Well, let's continue. Let's see what else she says.
spouse that I married was the same height. So I compromised, married him, and
So he was 5'7" as well, yeah.
yeah. So I compromised
So
with height.
what was the deal? What was it that he was doing or not doing, for that matter, that triggered you to get a khul?
So in that instance, he didn't want to provide for us at all.
Elaborate. Elaborate. What do you mean?
In the sense that even when I was on maternity leave, even when I was made redundant from my job, there was no active way of he was mashallah, he had a good job, still does. He's very well to do, earned 3 times more than I did. I was more than happy to be a stay-at-home mom. He didn't want to provide. And
why?
He had so many excuses, but
does he gamble?
This is the thing. As far as I'm aware, he never gambled. He never.
Did he have any vices? Alcohol? I don't know. Hookers? I don't know.
Not as far as I was aware. He never smoked in my presence. He loved vaping. Vape was one.
Why would he not want to provide for his own flesh and blood, his child and his wife? Why would he not want to?
He always complained about costs. So, for example, during lockdown, when only supermarkets were available for me to buy clothes for my child, he'd complain about the prices of baby bills, complain about gas bills, complain about everything. And obviously in the UK, if you're redundant and you're a spouse, you get nothing because your spouse is expected to provide for you. And to be honest, I got sick of it because I was far from my family. It was difficult for me. So in the end, I took Hala and moved back to the UK. Unfortunately, what I found, particularly within the Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Asian community, I'm talking to all you men out there, you are very delusional, both men and women.
Shots fired. Go on. What do you mean? In what regard?
In what regard? So I'm single myself and I am looking, and I work very, very hard. I run 2 businesses. I work full time to provide for my household. And I'm the kind of person, with the right person, would happily give it all up to be somebody's wife and have more kids in future.
So you heard it, right? She's 31 years old thinking that she can have more kids in the future. That may be true, but the difficulty in having those kids may present some challenges. So again, we're really faced with this. We're kind of again faced with these things like, okay, is it really worth it to do it in the West? That's the thing. Is it really worth like should a man like really put it all on the line to deal with these women, man? For real, like it just seems like it's not really worth the squeeze, bro. Just being honest, like it just doesn't seem like it.
I'm very amenable like that. But the moment I mention that I'm a single parent, I get looked down upon, which is non-Islamic at all. And this is coming from someone who had a very strict background. I never.
I can give you a very simple solution, sister. I can give you a very simple solution. Very simple. Do you have a son or a daughter?
I have a daughter.
Oof, you have a daughter. Okay, well, this advice applies even more, and that is, you don't need to be a single mom. If you want to get married again, no problem. Give the girl back to her father. You're not a single mom anymore.
We found Sprizzy through a Google search, pretty much. I was looking for a way to market our YouTube videos in I guess you could call it a correct manner. Sprizzy's something completely different. What Sprizzy does is they have a network of places that they use your video as an ad. They put your video in front of the people that need to see it. And
who doesn't want to look after her?
What do you mean?
He makes no effort to come and see her. He makes no
So he does not want anything to do with his daughter.
Not really.
What do you mean, not really?
Um,
If he was on this conversation right now and he was in a third panel on the other side of me, that side there, and he heard you say that, what would he say back in return?
he would probably accuse me of a lot of things and say that I've been.
So you're listening to this and you it makes you think like, damn, like did this guy do anything right? You know, are we hearing the full story of the situation? You know? And this is what we have to deal with. You know, let's look at one more and then I'll go to another one. When the villain is mentioned the first time and I instantly fall in love.
You've been single for so long, having a different man in my bed every single night. I first came across this on Twitter, and when I tried looking for the original video on the sister's page, I couldn't find it, which means that she deleted it. And when I first read this post, or it wasn't a post, it was a video, but when I first read it, even I got the wrong end of the stick. I thought she was genuinely fantasizing about having a different man in her bed every single night. But as it turns out, she's a book reader. She's a, a bookworm, specifically has an affinity towards romance novels, spicy romance novels. She outlines that in her own bio. And what her reference was towards having a different book, reading a different book every night, or enjoying the idea of a different fictional character every single night through all.
And that's the thing, like in you know, a reminder to myself, I should be, you know, janging Quran, or janging like Sirah of the Prophet or something like that. But you're not gonna catch me reading no damn like romance novels or anything like that. I'm gonna be reading like some historical books or some books that have to do with like geopolitics, in terms of why things are the way they are because of this Western system that is trying to overtake the world. I'm not going to read things that are, you know what I mean, just going to like bring out fantasies and all this other like BS, you know.
Or, you know, every other night, whatever. In essence, is double board of porn. When he goes to be intimate with out of that erectile dysfunction down here, from erectile dysfunction issue fatwa, but it's not a stretch to imagine that such books would be considered as haram. Just as men suffer from erectile dysfunction issues as a result of the overconsumption of porn, when he goes to be intimate with his woman, she is nowhere near as bombastic and crazy and, you know, just next level as the visuals he saw on porn. And as a result of that, his arousal level is now up here, but his wife is somewhere down here. So he can't get aroused by his wife. He needs that next level arousal up here from the porn. And as a result of that, erectile dysfunction issues ensue. It's not so much of a stretch to imagine that if you overconsume and indulge, sister, or even more. This is. No, I don't know. Read, and there's a number of reasons. Sunnah, marry his dad and make his mum a co-wife. In a co-wife is Sunnah. Marry his expectation, average looking, overweight women have. If a man tells you that being a co-wife is Sunnah, marry his dad and make his mum a co-wife.
You see these kind of things? You see how like you see how these Muslim women are. Okay, it's just not worth it, bro. The bottom line is this. I'm of the opinion, and this is just my opinion, that due to the current conditions right now, marriage is not really permissible at this point in time because of the simple fact that the vetting process, which is just at this point be too much, because 9 out of 10 times every woman you're going to meet is exposed to social media one way or another, you know, and it's exposed to this liberalism, it's exposed to this next wave feminism, and has just since disregarded Islamic moral and ethics. You know what I mean? In exchange for liberalism and these kind of things.
You know, this sister here, this Mona Bar, I've got a video that I made about her before, and she went absolutely berserk. I didn't realize that I made a video about her when my channel was a lot smaller, and I only noticed it in the conversation trail in my DMs from her. She was like, she was pretending to be her husband. I command you to remove this video. A second. An indication.
When your husband comes out of the shower, get on your knees and suck some positivity into that man.
Okay, so again, I hate to say it, but when you have these kind of things, okay, her, and she's married, her husband should be ashamed of her for being on here like that. But yet it's just, you know what I mean, like it's just it just keeps on going.
Then go sit him down, turn on the TV and give him something to eat. Hop in the shower and come back and give him some dessert. Too many women complain to me and they're like, he never lasts long enough. Now he will.
Am I from this planet?
Oh my god. Yo, I'm done. Like, I'm really done with, at this point, I've been done, but I'm like really done. Because like, imagine if that was your wife saying these things. Imagine if your wife was on, like, you know what I mean? When you have things like this, when you see Muslim dating site and stuff like that, that's already an indication that maybe you shouldn't be married, because there needs not to be any dating site in the first place. So you see single divorced mothers will ever get married again. Being Bengali Muslim and divorced, why don't many Muslims marry single mothers? When you see these kind of things happening, you know it's bad. Now let's see what he says.
I will not smile in this message, and I will not be diplomatic. Brothers and sisters, in fact, let me say it clearly, and I don't want to be diplomatic because I'm really angry and frustrated. And I feel that if I don't address this issue, Allah Jalla wa Ala will punish us all, and will punish me as an imam or a scholar, and will punish all imams and the scholars who keep quiet while.
Well, hopefully, I hate to say it, but like, well, hopefully he is a scholar, and the reason why I say that is because some people call themselves scholars and then may say or do things to mislead you. That's what I'm hoping. But let's hear what he has to say.
Witnessing this injustice. Maybe you know, my dear respected brothers and sisters, that I have spoken about this issue number of times, and I will continue speaking about it. Just now, I met a young boy. He's maybe 11, 12. And this young boy, the Imam of the Masjid, told me that this young boy is the grandson of so and so. I know his father and I know his grandfather, I know his mother. I said, oh, this one? And his father is an Imam and a good person, as I know, or as I have seen. His grandfather is an Imam as well. His family, all of them are practicing people. However, father and mother divorced, and I have dealt with this case myself long time ago. And I remember that telling the family that you have to finish everything amicably and make sure that the children have access to the father, because this is his right, this is their right, this is the right of that family as well. Imagine the father of the wife is an imam or a scholar even. And that's why I am angry. I was shocked when the imam of the masjid told me that actually this boy doesn't know who his father is. Not only.
So there you have it. There you have it. There you have it. Okay. So you will see often. You will see often in the community, outside of the Muslim community, that women are so bitter at the father in which they decided to have a kid with, that they will keep the father not involved in the kid's life. They'll be like, man, forget that. I'm not dealing with I'm not letting my kid have access to his father. That's the line that is often pushed most of the time. Believe it or not, they go by that. They'll be like, man, forget that. He doesn't deserve to basically, you know what I mean, have the kid, like, have access to the kid. You know how bad that is, that he wouldn't even know who his father is. So, and I've seen this scenario play out more than once. I knew an Egyptian guy who had a kid with his wife, and then his wife, I don't know what happened to her, but he had a kid with his wife, and she did not even give him access to the kid. He was always thinking about his daughter. Never could see her though.
Only that, he said, I had a discussion with him and I told him that your father is an imam. He said, yeah, I know, but he's an evil person. And he has two faces, a face as an imam and a face as another evil person. this Imam who was talking to me, he told me, where did he get this from? And I am saying, where did he get this from? For sure, he got it from his mother, and he got it from the family of his mother. Now, my dear sisters, I know that you will start jump and defending yourself. I've been dealing with this almost every single day. I receive a call from a father or the family of the father, and they are crying. They want to see their grandchildren, or the father wants to see his children. I came across cases. The Imam actually told me that there was a case of a young boy. He received a call when he was 12, 13. Oh, I am your dad. He said, no, my dad passed away a long time ago. And when he investigated, he found that.
So you see what they're doing, right? These women are, it's sad to say, but these women are really, really, um, it, hey, bro, I- it's it's crazy to say it, but it's really crazy to say, but these women are, man, they're lightweight. Like, I don't even know the words anymore to say. To be honest with you, I don't even know like how to explain this whole situation anymore. You know. Well, let's continue.
That was his dad. I came across, and I'm dealing with a case where the young boy, he is 12, 13, and he doesn't know who his dad was or is. He thinks that the husband of his mother is his actual dad. And I'm trying to convince them that this is haram. If he dies like this, then the haram is upon you. And they say, the mother is saying, well, he's not ready for that. And the father is saying he's not ready for that. And you haven't heard the other side of the story. My dear sisters, I don't want to be diplomatic with you, because on the day of resurrection, Allah Jalla wa Ala will ask me, why didn't I speak out against this injustice that.
And so that's why I have my channel too. Because I don't want to be held on account for not trying to show not show people sins, but to show the evil that they are engaged in. You know what I mean? To show men that, hey, you may be walking into a trap by getting with these women, because of the simple fact that they're unhinged at this point. And again, I said I'm not a scholar, but I do hold the opinion that guys, Muslim men should, because if they're not going to change, then you're not going to change them. So what I'm saying is that I'm of the opinion that, like, you should use your passport to get a woman that still values Islam and still values the limits and the prohibitions that Islam has placed, in order to protect and preserve the society and the social well-being of that society.
Many of you, my dear sisters, I don't want to be diplomatic, are committing الظلم ظلمات يوم القيامة. Zulm is leading to darkness on the day of resurrection.
Okay, let me see.
UEFA Champions League knockout phase, Europe's yearly do-or-die battle royale, where
Cooking and cleaning, I don't know if you wanted a maid out of this, but that's not me. So we'll figure that out together. We work together. We are equals. Money and bills. Your money is our money. My money is my money. So I guess we got that figured out. Next is Mahir. I will base that solely off of your financial situation, and also based on my needs. If those can meet, then that means you're ready for marriage anyways. Children, I want 3. I'm not trying to drive a minivan, but if you need more than that, that's a negotiation we could talk about later. Cooking and cleaning, I don't know if you wanted a maid out of this, but that's not me. So we'll figure that out together. We work together. We are equals. Money and bills. Your money is our money. My money is my money. So I guess we got that figured out. But if you need help, I'm more than happy. Friends, we can have friends of the opposite gender as long as I am friends with the girl and you are friends with the guys who I know. And if they're couples, I love that. We'll have fun.
I find the most pernicious and most unacceptable type of feminist as a Muslim feminist. Do you know why? Because a true feminist, like of a second wave complexion or background orientation, she would, everything's 50-50. Domestic housework is 50-50. Yeah.
True.
And also finances are 50-50. XYZ is 50-50. Yeah. Everything is, that is what the ideology says.
But that's not what the feminists want, though. That's the whole problem. The feminists don't want 50-50. What they want is the guy to provide 100% of the financial, the economic. They want him to fit, the economic side of it, but they want his, how should I say, his authority, meaning that they want his ability to maybe, like do certain things. That's the thing. Walaikum salam rahmatullah barakatuhu. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, Ngozi, who wrote the Feminist Manifesto, said everything should be equal except for breastfeeding, and she gave that only and work and protection. Plus, so she wants to take all of the things, her Islamic entitlements, plus she wants to have her feministic entitlements. So she wants a double entitlement. That woman is a leech. That woman is just a leech, and she needs to be called out in the community. People like yourself need to say, listen, don't leech off the man. You choose what you want to be. You want to be a Muslim? This is Islam. This feminism is different. And you can't mix them. If you want to be both, then you're going to end up being a leech. Charity. You're a charity. You are a charity. You might as well go to Oxfam and put your hands out like this. This is what you should do. With all due respect. I'm sorry, I'm going. But the entitled nature of some people that want both.
And that's the thing about Muslim women today. They want both. You know what I mean? Like, so Muslim women in the West will want you to be like damn near a millionaire. And at the same time, they're going to want you to like do, they're going to want you to do like everything and not do anything in return, basically, or just not even do the bare minimum in return. So you have to ask yourself, is that really going to be healthy for you as a man? Is that really something that's going to be healthy?
If you want 50-50, then you have to provide 50-50.
Right, right.
You just
want to become when you grow older. What was her response? I want to be a housewife. What was the teacher's response to that? Shock.
Okay. And so when you have like people making these videos, you know what I mean? Like when you have them making these videos, like, dear Muslim single mama, welcome to raising her myself. Create to support, empower, support, and connect single Muslim mothers. So when you have people pushing these things, you know what I mean? Like when you have them pushing these things, it just goes to show you that not only are they pushing this down, and I'm going to end on this note, not only are they pushing this agenda down our throats, you know what I mean? It's also it's also we also must realize that the guy is going to get villainized. You know, the guy is going to be a villain in regards to this whole situation. You know, let's see something real quick. Let me see what she says.
By advertising on YouTube, I grow my business by reaching my most important customers, people like Allison.
Couldn't see at that time how I was going to still be able to create a beautiful life for my daughter, the beautiful life that she deserved. When I became a single mother, I really had to make a decision within myself that I cannot go through something as huge as this and not make something beautiful from this. Like, I owe it to my daughter, I owe it to myself. I have no choice but to take this situation, take this test from Allah, and make something incredible come from it. I took this horrible situation I was placed in and used it as the foundation to completely rebuild my life, to completely heal myself.
So what I want to say is that, again, you hear the same modern woman talking points. Healing myself, and just like basically big upping herself, while we don't get the second side of the story. You know what I mean? We don't know the man's side of the story. Okay? That's the thing. Okay, let's see this. So, you see this being pushed, you see these kind of things being pushed though. Iftar as a single mom. Muslim mom of two. Let's see. can't see the video, but there was this one bit. Oh, yo, here it is. Thank
I
God I
saw
found
war.
this video.
I saw
Thank God I
broken.
found this video.
I saw.
Thank God I found this video. Thank God I found this video, bro. Woo wee! Thank God I found this video. Because the thing is, these are the same talking points that these Muslim women make. Okay? These are the same talking points that these Muslim women identify with when it comes to the fact that they identify with feminism. And this woman destroys this. Okay? She destroys it. Let's listen.
It's claimed that women need feminism because there are women that suffer injustice. But this ignores that nearly all human beings suffer injustice at some point in their lives at the hands of either men or women. And justice for only one group of society to the exclusion of another is like a bird without one wing. It just doesn't fly. Men have a fundamental need for justice just the same as women do. And whilst the very word feminism discriminates, the word justice doesn't. Justice means giving people what they deserve or merit. But as we'll see, feminism and justice are not synonymous. Feminism is a highly ambiguous term, straitjacketing instead of liberating. It is the call for gender privilege, masquerading as equality.
And that's the thing. When it comes to these marriages, right? It's only a one-way thing, basically. Like the guy really doesn't get anything out of the deal. I mean, the bottom line is the guy doesn't get anything out of the deal because simple fact that if he doesn't like check off all these boxes, including the assignment box and things like that, then basically she will be encouraged to leave. And leave with not only leave the relationship, but leave with his house and definitely his earnings as well.
In essence, feminism denies a human reality, it is unclear, and not the cause for justice. To begin, feminists advocate that women have traditionally been dehumanized in a male-dominated society, which they call the patriarchy, and that it has always been better to be a man. But this one-sided claim snubs the privileges that women have often enjoyed simply for being women. The dynamics of society at the most basic level show that it has actually always been better to be a woman. Biologically, every woman counts in reproduction and perpetuating life itself, giving each woman an intrinsic worth regardless of what she does. It only takes one man, however, for many women to have children. So historically, this gave rise to the idea amongst human societies that men are largely disposable, whilst every woman is indispensable. This is why instinctively we prioritize safety and comfort for women rather than men, why women are rescued first in any emergency or disaster and get the first seat in lifeboats, why men tend to work longer hours, risking life and limb in the more dirty and dangerous jobs like being coal miners, oil drillers, foot soldiers, construction workers, rubbish collectors, and the male relative acting as the unpaid bodyguard in the home.
So, so the thing is that like if we're doing these things, right? And we're doing these things amicably, we're doing these things honorably, and we're not getting like anything in return, then like what is the point of marriage? Then that's what you have to ask yourself, okay, is it really worth being married? And is it permissible to even be married here?
To quote one activist, women are human beings whilst men are human doings. This privilege is not appreciated by feminists because, as pro-feminist Michael Kimmel once said, privilege is invisible to those who have it. When it comes to violent crime, the reality is that...
And that's the thing about it. He said privilege is invisible to those who have it. And, the thing is that women have privileges and that's why it's invisible to them. The fact that pretty much the court system works in their favor in any in any divorce court, it pretty much works in their favor. That's a privilege. By default, it's going to work in their favor. The fact that their kids are, in essence, when they're done with dudes, pretty much collateral damage, that works in their favor. Because don't let it fool you. Like I know one guy right now, man. He he he's spooked to death that his wife is going to put him on some papers, meaning that his wife will put him on child support. Because, again, she's a masculine. I hate to say it, I don't want to talk about another man's wife, but with all due respect, like me personally, I would never marry a convert woman. I would never marry one, even if I don't care if she's a masculine Nisha or a Casper Karen. I just would not marry her, because I know what that entails and what baggage that entails. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's in a situation where he's walking on eggshells now because he doesn't know if she's going to leave or not. And if she leaves, then she's going to be put him on papers, which means that, again, privilege, privilege is, basically invisible to those who have it.
The more violent the crime, the more likely the victim is to be a man. Men are more than twice as likely to be murdered than women in the UK. When it comes to domestic violence, The Guardian reported that men are the victims more than 40% of the time, excluding unreported cases. And men are half as likely to tell anyone about it in the first place. When it comes to the provision of refuges, there are 7,500 for females in England and Wales, but only 60 for men. As for male rape victims within UK prisons, there's a collective state of denial. It's just not taken seriously. Men are held to a higher standard of self-defense, and so they often suffer in silence, reluctant to be re-victimized by an unsympathetic legal system or disbelieving treatment from professionals.
So that's the thing too. Like, I hate to say it, but like as men, unfortunately, it's kind of like it is what it is. We have to suffer in silence. You know what I mean? Like because you really can't go to therapy for the simple fact that a therapist is another human being who probably has a therapist themselves. You know what I mean? So like again, it goes to the point where women they don't suffer in silence. Like if a woman is going through something, they're gonna obviously express what it is that they're going through. So again, it just goes to show you like how uneven the playing field is for a man.
Yet feminists generally remain egregiously quiet about male suffering as a result of social roles. Whilst feminists seek liberation from the shackles of the traditional female role, the man is still expected to continue his traditional disposable role. This one-sided narrative of feminism is not the way forward.
And we see what it's doing to society. We see what it is doing to society. Because when you look at the overall situation, guys are still expected to put on a cape and be superheroes, while in return, women are just expected to be there. And then we're also expected to clean up their dirty mistakes that they made with previous guys. It's just expected of us. But, me, I'm not going for it. I hate to say it, but some brothers offered, like, may God bless him and stuff like that. But one brother, like he's my good brother. He's darn near like a relative. He's from Burkina Faso. Like one of his suggestions that I would marry a woman who was married before with 2 kids. I said, nah, man. I said, nah, I'm good, bro. I don't have kids. You know what I mean? I've never been married before, so like, yeah, bro, I'm like, nah, you know?
Feminists, equality is merely a facade to favour women, often at the expense of others. Like when former Equality Minister Harriet Harman, a feminist, publicly requested employers to discriminate against white men and hire women instead if both candidates were equally qualified. Or when former Equality Minister Patricia Hewitt, also a feminist, was found guilty of breaching the Sex Discrimination Act by overlooking a strong male applicant for a job in favour of a weaker female applicant. So feminists claim to seek equality and call for a 40% minimum female quota on management boards, but conspicuously do not call for a 40% minimum quota for soldiers, prison guards, lumberjacks, miners, bodyguards, or construction workers. Why is that? Why not campaign for an end to the women and children first policy in lifeboats and have it first come, first serve? Why not have women and men compete side by side in the Olympics as equals? Of course,
Because they would get their asses kicked. That's why. You know, I don't give a crap. Like, even this one woman, I don't know why she thought she can challenge me, but I was in the airport the other day just going up the stairs. You know, because like instead of me taking the escalator, I like to just take the stairs up. You know what I mean? Like that way I'm by myself, pretty much, not like really around people. She tried to like go up the stairs with me, and it's like, woman, I'm not gonna let you beat me up the stairs, even. You can try to challenge me and stuff like that. That shit's not gonna work though. You know, I'm stronger, I'm faster, and that's just the bottom line. Like even the other time when I was in in Oregon, this one woman tried to like challenge me on my road work. And I'm simply just doing road work. Tried to challenge me. All I had to do was open my stride to whoop her ass. And I wasn't even running at full speed. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, well, like men are built different, literally.
The reason feminists won't advocate this is because it's not really about equality, but the means to achieve gender privilege. Another shocking example is the feminist campaign for closing women's prisons. The Fawcett Society, the UK's leading feminist campaign for closing the inequality gap between women and men, campaigned that female prisons did not suit women's needs. So, as recommended in a report by Baroness Corsten, they should be closed and replaced with what is in effect women's social clubs, where female offenders get to spend time with each other, organising their own shopping, budgets and cooking, and then go home to their children at the end of each day. The Corsten report also stated that women and men are different. Equal treatment of women and men does not result in equal outcomes, going on to claim that women are governed by hormones in a monthly cycle, which affects their moods and emotions. These biological factors have a direct bearing on the way in which women experience stressful events during their lives. If a man was to say that about treating women differently in the workplace, he'd be called a misogynist.
That's a fact. As a matter of fact, I got called misogynist like on 2 different occasions this week. So therefore so therefore what I'm saying is that, like, I guess if you're called misogynist, take it as a compliment. You know, take it as a compliment. It means you're doing something right. Like you're actually doing something right.
Strangely, though, feminists are completely happy for women to say that women are governed by hormones and cite biological factors when it comes to obtaining privileges. So for feminists, male criminals are to be punished to the full extent of the law, whilst female criminals should get comfort and help. Why is male suffering an injustice less important than female suffering an injustice? Surely justice doesn't discriminate, but as we can see, feminism does. Feminists are not asking for equal treatment, but special treatment, gender privilege. Women do not need gender privilege, and therefore they do not need feminism. In reality, they, along with men, need justice, a comprehensive justice for all. Secondly, women need clear solutions, but feminism is unclear and evasive. Feminism comes in many different factions: conservative, liberal, socialist, postmodern, ecofeminism, and so on. With no shared value system or moral guidance, feminists don't agree on anything but the name and will happily contradict themselves if need be. For example, feminists have no clear position on the sexual objectification of women. Some feminists advocate androgenizing the female appearance, and others campaign for safer cosmetic surgery without challenging why women actually feel the need to have it in the first place. Because feminism cannot deal with complexities, it promotes the idea of individualism instead. The idea that women should be empowered through redefining their own expectations. And feminists are always on hand to dictate that women should make men the benchmark of these expectations. Instead of freeing women from male expectations, feminists expect free women to be male. Finally, I argue that feminism denies human reality. It straitjackets women and doesn't understand or accommodate the natural proclivities of the genders. Virtually all species, from bees to primates, have different gender roles, with different biological abilities across the sexes. Yet feminists insist that any gender difference between humans is invented, and there is nothing biological about men or women that should inform their social roles. Scientific studies have clearly demonstrated, however, the role of testosterone in building muscle, increasing competitiveness, confidence, and risk-taking, making men better suited to the more hazardous and competitive roles of society. Because of testosterone, men naturally tend to be faster, bigger, possess more stamina, and are physically stronger. So teaching a girl that she can naturally compete equally with men in everything is misleading. One absurd example of this is when feminists, attempting to achieve equal outcomes between the sexes, had the strenuous physical tests for UK firefighters lowered and the standards relaxed in order to accommodate more female firefighters. So the standards you can now expect from professionals in burning buildings and boardrooms, as I mentioned earlier, whether male or female, is much lower than before because of feminists. It seems feminists are implicitly agreeing with Plato when he said that women should be treated equally to men, except that not so much should be expected of them, leading feminists in their absurd quest for equal outcomes between the sexes to campaign for mediocrity in the workplace rather than meritocracy. Feminists argue that the division of labour in traditional families constrains women's opportunities, that women are discriminated against in getting jobs and wages, that there exists a wage gap between the genders. However, these arguments collapse upon further scrutiny because if employers could get away with paying a woman less for the exact same task that they could pay a man, why wouldn't they just hire women? Furthermore, statistics cited by feminists as evidence of the wage gap tend to lump full.
That's the thing. You know, what these women will say is that, oh, you know, guys get paid more and things like that. So if that was the case, why wouldn't more companies hire women in order to save operational costs? In order to save on operational costs, in order to save on payroll, in order to save on that, why wouldn't they hire women since they get paid less? Why wouldn't companies be women only? Because if that was the case, they would save a hell of a lot of money.
Full-time hours in with overtime hours, of which women tend to do far less than men. They also average earnings from disparate jobs like primary school teachers with investment bankers, sales engineers with chemical engineers, HR executives with finance executives. So they don't compare like-for-like jobs at all. Nor are women discouraged from entering higher paying fields. They outperform men at university, but are more likely to choose languages, arts, and social sciences, which pay less, whilst men are more likely to choose engineering, technology, math, and sciences, which pay more. The division of labor once children are born also means mothers.
And I'll be an advocate for that too. Women who were in my computer science classes, you know, as sad as it sounds, they will always ask me for answers instead of really just tapping in and just really listening to the teacher. You know what I mean? So it was just like it just got like to a point where I was like, yeah, I might as well teach the class myself too.
Tend to intensify their home commitments, and fathers tend to heavily intensify their work commitments. Men seem to make this trade-off more than women, perhaps because men feel more obliged to earn than women do. The reality is that the statistics do not reflect discrimination, but choices. If there is a glass ceiling, it seems that women are the main architects of it because they get to trade off higher paying jobs for more flexible hours to combine work and family life, which means they not only get the benefit of the father's wage, but also a better work-life balance for herself. Isn't that more important than arbitrarily chasing the highest paying jobs? Feminists don't want to be thought of as sexual objects, but seem happy to be valued according to their economic worth. Both assessments are materialistic, and neither should dictate the worth of a man or a woman. The wage gap is telling in that feminists cannot deny the impact of motherhood on a woman's life choices, that men and women cannot live lives completely autonomous from one another, that men and women actually need each other to make a whole. So that's the wage gap. But if feminists are so keen on equality, what about their silence on the cancer research gap, the education gap, the violent crime gap?
Access to clean and safe water is something that many of us take for granted, to the point where we
the death on the job gap, the suicide gap, the life expectancy gap, all of which discriminate against men. In idolizing the male and trying to create an androgynous sexuality where men and women are virtually identical, except for their anatomy, feminists have perpetuated a misogynistic self-loathing for the traditional female role. Motherhood and female tenderness is now viewed as a weakness. The strength of men, which can be used to lead wars, just...
So then this makes you ask then the question, then, is marriage something really permissible here? Because you already know how she already views the role of a mother. You know, like she already views the role of a mother as like, man, carry that, like forget that. You know what I mean? And I hear this every single day, bro. It's nothing I just like make up. This thing is going on every single day.
As it can be used to be fierce protectors, is often kept in check by the compassion and temperance of women. But when women abandon these qualities and want the same aggression that they perceive in men, what will be left? When feminists are...
What's left right now, basically? Because when you really look at the situation, these women are masculine as hell these days. That's the thing. And and the thing is, they say that, oh, you know, guys aren't masculine. Guys aren't men anymore. You know, guys are soft. Because guys aren't allowed to be men pretty much anymore. Because you decided that you wanted to be men. That's what happened. Any guy who does decide that he wants to be a man is punished. And it's like looked at as a misogynist.
Are insisting on taking over the male role, is it any surprise that men are shirking their responsibilities, which they once did with pride, diligence, and selfless duty?
Exactly. So that's why they're saying, you got it. That's why men are saying that, man. Like guys are saying, man, you got this. Now they're saying that because of these masculine women.
If feminists want to have it all, they will most likely end up having to do it all, often at the expense of their own well-being, and most importantly, at the expense of our children. In Islam, men and women and their actions are equal in the eyes of God. God says in the Quran, "Never will I allow to be lost the work of any worker among you, whether male or female, one of you is as the other." Islam primarily addresses men and women the same, because men and women by and large share the same human characteristics, and it addresses them separately in relation to the few areas where they differ. The Islamic system isn't based on selfish individualism, but a God-centered worldview promoting mutual reciprocity. In Islam, women do not serve men and men do not serve women. Rather, we serve God by helping each other and giving to each other based on human needs, with the understanding that humans are not all the same. Islam guards the female from the moment she enters the world by rebuking and prohibiting the practice of female infanticide as one of the gravest crimes to be committed. Such a religion can only go on to challenge the ill treatment of women and secure her well-being at every stage of her life. Through property rights, marriage contracts, political participation, inheritance laws and dress code, it advocates complementarity with men rather than competition. Marriage is the bedrock of family life in Islam and the fundamental unit of Islamic society, giving us rights and duties over one another. As a wife, she has the right to be provided for, including her own living space, and is guaranteed financial safeguards should her marriage not work out. Yet Islam does not straitjacket women. It allows women to enter the workplace, but not out of the necessity of the struggle to support herself, but out of choice, to be pursued at her leisure. In Islam, nobody has a right over her earnings. However, Islam mandates that a man's earnings must be used to provide for the women of the household, irrespective of whether they work or not. Furthermore, as a mother, the woman is given preference for respect over the children, from the children over the father. Such is the esteemed role that she plays at the heart of the soul and the family, and by extension, society. So Islam provides a clear, natural, and just solution to ensuring justice for all humans, and has no need for feminism's vain attempts to reinvent the wheel that Islam set in motion over 1400 years ago. In Islam, power is not a virtue, it is a burden and a responsibility. Instead of seeking to empower ourselves, we should seek to empower justice. In Islam, women are liberated from the servitude of men and liberated from the expectations of other women. It is virtue which all human beings, regardless of gender, career,
But they didn't get that memo. And so the problem is that you have is that these women try to live up to the expectations of other women to avoid being called a pick-misha or a pick-me or like a slave or something like that, you know?
or social role can equally strive for. In the end, true self-worth and contentment doesn't come through submission to any aspect of creation, material, men, women, none of it. It only comes from submission to the Creator himself and all that he commands. Thank you.
So I think I'll end there. Um yeah, I think I'll end there. And I think actually what I'll do is I'll basically I'll play the whole thing. I'll play the whole thing. I'll play her speeches next time, and we'll go into this whole feminism BS and how it's affected everybody. But anyhow, thank you for tuning in. I know I've been long winded, but leave your thoughts, leave your comments. There'll be another one, inshallah. Maybe sooner than next Friday, inshallah. But anyhow, Fula signing out. Inshallah.